Okay. Hi, everyone. I'm Cindy Judd, and to my fellow co-chairs and of these committees, um, it's great to see you all. For those of you who don't know, the Kentucky, let me just back up to the original slide, the Kentucky Bluegrass Awards. We're going to be giving you just a little sampling of some of our favorites in each of the grade levels. We're going to talk to you first a little bit about what the Kentucky Bluegrass Award program is about. And then each of us is going to talk in our committees from the different committee chairs. We're each going to be presenting a snippet of our lists, our master lists. And this is kind of neat for us too, because a lot of us have never seen each other. We know our names, we know the committee chairs and some of the members, but it's great to actually see some faces with the names of other committee members, because even though we all sort of have a shared purpose as a Kentucky Bluegrass Award committee, we only do, well, I should say we do most of our work just within our committee, so we don't get to see each other. So it's great to see my fellow committee members. So you all will have access to the slides later, but in case you're interested in some of these specific grade levels, each of us who will be presenting, our names are on the screen there, and we'll give you some contact information at the end. So just to tell you a little bit about the program, Kentucky Bluegrass Awards is our state children's book award. Many states have a statewide award, and like most of them, we have this award really, the purpose of it really is to encourage and promote reading. We really want kids to be exposed to lots of different genres, different reading formats, different styles. And this is our way to celebrate great books, but also to promote books to different grade levels and to kids all across Kentucky. Our committees are broken into several different age levels or grade levels. You can see there on the screen, we've got a pre-K, a K through 2, a 3 through 5, a 6 through 8, and then a 9 through 12. So we have 5 different committees, and each committee is usually made up of anywhere from like 12 to maybe 15 people. And those who make up the committees, we are all volunteers. We're not getting paid all of this, exciting money. We just all share a passion for children, books, and promoting literacy. So school librarians, public librarians, teachers. I'm a faculty member at Eastern Kentucky University, but I work with the College of Education here, and I also teach an adolescent literature class. So we serve in many different roles, but we all share a passion for education and really literacy and promoting great books. So you will be able to see, again, I just mentioned, each grade level grouping has or creates what's called a master list, and our master list is made up of 10 books. So those librarians and teachers and educators, we come together and read lots of books in our age group, and we put together a list of 10 books that we feel like are the best of the best for our students in Kentucky. And then what happens next, which is really, to me, kind of the cool part of this whole process, is students read from those master lists in their grade level. So at the elementary level, you've got the K through 2 and the 3 through 5. So there's 2 different lists, and students in the corresponding grade level read the books from that list, and they are the ones who vote on their favorites. And they also ultimately vote on the winner for each one of those grade levels. So it's really neat, I think, to be able to say to even to the authors who win and the illustrators who win, to say Kentucky kids voted your book their favorite. And the KBA Award is sponsored and overseen by the Kentucky Association of School Librarians. This is just a brief glimpse at last year's winners for each of the grade levels. And it really, there's some really fun titles here. Interestingly, the 3 through 5 and the 6 through 8 titles are both graphic novels. So really interesting. Those tend to be really popular. Kids love to read graphic novels, and not a surprise that of all 10 books for each grade, that those happen to be ones that they voted. But these were the winners last year for each of the grade levels. And now what we're going to do is break into our different groupings, and I think my KBA colleague, Becky Nelson, is going to present the preschool. Oh no, Becky left. I think she's having trouble getting in because I've seen her come in and out a couple of times. Amy or Ken? Oh, she here? Becky, are you here?
She came in as number 5, and I've added her as a presenter. Now number 6. Let me add that one. Hold on.
Okay, great.
All right.
Oh, she left. Oh no.
Cindy, do you want me to jump ahead to Kate?
Yeah,
we could come back
let's do that.
Because it looks like
that'd be great.
A tech issue right now.
Yes. Let me just skip ahead a little bit, and we'll go to the K through 2 and let our next person present.
My name is Adele Cook, and I am on the K to 2 committee. I will be moving up to co-chair next year, so that is how I got involved in this. And the current co-chairs were not able to come. We are so excited about the list this year. A couple of the things that we look at when we are looking to do this is to have a variety of literature, to have a variety of levels. K to 2, we are still looking at books that kids can choose themselves, but also the fact that the book is probably going to be read to the child in many of these cases, especially when you're talking about kindergartners and early first graders, that the book would be read to the child instead of the child picking it up and reading it alone. But we want them to be books that the kids will want to read and will want to pick up again and again. So from this fabulous list of all different genres and amazing things, I did pick 3 highlights to share with you. Shea Bob was my absolute favorite of the list. I have a feeling it will definitely be in the running for the Kids' Choice Award, just based on what it is. And so this is a fabulously fun picture book by Bob Shea. And if you think about it, Shea Bob by Bob Shea is very cute. And then it's an alligator who is trying to figure out how to make a restaurant so birds will come to his nose so that then he can have more yummy birds for himself. But it is a great book about community building, because in the end, as the community is established and the different relationships, it is fantasy fiction. And we always talk about the artist's medium, because the artist's medium is the illustrations were done in a comfortable chair while listening to records, is what was actually put in the book. If the artist gives us a way that they did the illustrations, I always try to include it. The next one I want to show you is Crossings, a very different looking book. These were hand-drawn illustrations that were then put into Adobe Photoshop. And so you will see that the illustrations are gorgeous. This is a nonfiction book called Crossings, and it is all about the way either animals get to different things or how people get from one place to another. It does have a conservation theme with it, and so there's a lot you can do with it. In fact, all of these books we prepare actually for the Castle conference a set of lesson plans for these that if anyone's interested in, I have the whole set of lesson plans that could easily be adapted to a story time or that type of thing. And then I also selected Change Sings if you have not seen it yet. This is Amanda Gorman and Lauren Long, who is associated with Kentucky because he lives close here. And it is a poetry book. It is about change, but it's also about community. We found that a lot of the books we were receiving talked in some way about communities and gave kids an idea about community. So I think that's, you start to see different focuses as you go by. And again, beautiful illustrations using acrylic and colored pencils. And so those are just a few that I wanted to bring to your attention, but really it was hard to pick because all 10 are fabulous. Oh, I did 4, sorry. Red Locks and the Three Bears is a retelling of a fairy tale. It's a twisted fairy tale done in colored pencil. It's very cute. It is unusually a long book. Instead of being the traditional 32 pages, it is much longer, but it doesn't have very many words on the page. So sorry, I did 4 books. Back to you, Cindy.
Hi, I wanted to see if Becky was available, if she wanted to go back and we could do hers. I wanted to see if she was ready to go. I can't tell if I thought she came back in the room. There she is. Becky, do you have your audio on? Maybe you can unmute yourself. Okay, we'll come back. We'll come back and get to Becky's next. Or after, at some point, we're going to get to Becky's. Okay, so the next section is actually mine and my colleague Amanda Boyd Collier. We're going to be talking about the 3rd through 5th grade master list titles. You know, I think that every year, and Adele kind of stole it and said it best. You know, we read so many books and it feels like every year you just fall in love with the groupings, and some years are just really more special maybe, or you feel like, oh, these are the best. We're really very excited about the nominees, the master list titles for this coming year. We have a variety of nonfiction. We actually have a couple of nonfiction books this year on our list. Sometimes we have one, sometimes we have more than one. We also have, as it's typical, we have some graphic novels represented, but I'm really excited about the different, the variety that we have this year. So without further ado, Amanda, you are going to talk first about this first book.
Yes, hello everyone. This is Allergic, and I love it. I fell in love with it for a couple of reasons. One, ironically, my son was allergic when we were trying to get a dog, and so we had some similar themes to the little girl in the story. Kids are really drawn to this. It is a graphic novel, so that instantly. It also has a dog, which kids just seem to love the dog books. So this has a really good, it just flies off the shelf kind of a feel. Maggie, the main character, she is kind of the odd girl out because not only she's getting a new baby at home, and so kids, there are a lot of things that they can lock onto and make a connection with this book, whether it be allergies or wanting a pet or getting a new sibling. And she's trying to get that dog, so she has something for her. So just a wonderful novel, and the graphic novel just speaks to everybody.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah, I think, like Amanda said, I think a lot of kids, I mean, how many kids do we know in schools, maybe even our own, we experience allergies. This is going to have a lot of appeal to kids who have allergies. So thanks, Amanda. All right, our next one is an unusual one, but kind of a fun one. I personally think this one is a lot of fun. It's called A Day in the Life of a Pooh, a New, and You. and it is a graphic format nonfiction title, and that's what I think is really going to have why it's really going to appeal to kids. Um, so it is full of all kinds of fun, attractive illustrations and drawings and things that are, I think, again, are going to really appeal to kids. If you ever wanted to know what a panda does all day long, how your heart manages to shift all that blood around your body, or what makes a rainbow shine, you've come to the right book. A Day in the Life of a Pooh, Anu, and You features the answers to all of these questions and many more. It's told in this very fun comic book format in 3 sections: the human body, animal kingdom, and earth and science. So kids are going to get facts and information on lots of things in those 3 areas, including information that it is in the title, A Day in the Life of a Pooh, of a New and You. So just a little warning, it is in there. But it's very, again, science focused, informative, and lots of fun. And I think younger elementary all the way up to older elementary and maybe even into early middle school will get something fun out of this book.
Now, this book is The Lion of Mars by Jennifer Holm, and this emphasizes really how we try to get a wide variety of books. This one is a science fiction novel. It's got a reading level of 4.0 right there in the middle. So this is the novel. It's the exact opposite of a graphic novel. There's no pictures, there's no anything, but it's going to reach those science fiction loving students. You know how they just want them all. They gravitate to them. So we're really trying to get something for every student on grades 3 through 5. Now, The Lion of Mars. So they have been on Mars their entire lifetime, the whole time, all 11 years on Mars. And he's a normal kid, except he lives on Mars. And they don't socialize, they're isolated. Things start to go wrong. They're trying to find, they're going to be the helpers, they're going to figure it out. And it's all about getting together in communities, and kids just gravitate toward it. I was like, oh, I just don't know. It's kind of thick. I read the first chapter to a group of 4th graders, and the library cannot keep it now. They all had to finish it. It's one of those that gets you on that first chapter or 2. They lock in. They want to know what happens. So it really speaks to a different kind of reader. But I've noticed the book that Cindy just talked about and this one, they love both. Just gets that science in there in a different way. But it's just one of those that they get it, they love it, they want to talk about it, and it's great for school as well. The Lion of Mars.
Excellent. And I mean, who doesn't love Jennifer Holm? Like, she's just
I know.
She's a beloved author, and she's one of those staples in a school library. And I think even if kids have never read her stuff before, this is going to have a lot of appeal for sure. The last one in our grouping is called Willow Dean by another well-loved, prolific, staple in a school library author, Catherine Applegate. And she's just really done it again. I mean, the cover alone, I think, is going to draw readers in. Like, what is that creature? Is that a warthog? What is that thing? And then there's this bear with wings. What is that all about? Really, really interesting and intriguing right from the cover. There's a part in here that says, the earth is old and we are not, and that is all you must remember. 11-year-old Willow Dean adores creatures of all kinds, but her favorites are the most unlovable beasts in the land. They are strange beasts known as screechers. The village of Perchance calls them pests, even monsters, but Willow Dean believes the animals serve a vital role in the complicated web of nature. Lately, though, nature has seemed angry indeed. Perchance has been cursed with fires and mudslides, droughts and fevers, and even the annual migration of the hummingbears, a source of local pride and income, has dwindled. For as shimmering bubble nests perched atop blue willow trees, drawing tourists from far and wide. This year, however, not a single hummingbear has returned to Perchance, and no one knows why. When a handmade birthday gift brings unexpected magic to Willow Dean and her new friend Connor, she's determined to speak up for the animals she loves and perhaps even uncover the mystery of the missing hummingbears. And what's great about this story is there's lots of interesting conversations to be had during and after reading around climate change and what's going on in our environment and things like that. So I think it'll stir some great conversations, and readers will definitely fall in love with the precious hummingbears. In our next group, did we have Emily join us?
Yes, ma'am.
Yay. All right, Emily, I'm turning it over to you.
All right. Well, I have no idea what anybody else really has said up until this point about, or like introducing themselves or anything. Cindy, is there anything that I should tell?
You know, I'm the
anybody
worst
before I just
because
start talking about that?
all I did was say that I was one of the co-chairs for KBA and that I worked at Eastern Kentucky University. So if you want to introduce yourself, tell your group and take off. You got it.
All right. Well, hi. I'm Emily Northcutt. I am the school librarian at the Marnell C. Mormon School here in Shelby County in Shelbyville. And I am coincidentally, I think, right across the parking lot from our next presenter, who is Lisa Fierro. So I'm used to being in the middle of lots of things because I'm in a K-8 school. And so I think middle school really truly is my happy place. And the fun thing about trying to come up with a list of 10 titles each year with my committee that are going to appeal to a wide variety of middle grade, middle school readers is we've got basically kids who go back and forth between middle grade and YA. And so some of these titles are going to be on the higher end of the age range, and some of them are going to be on the lower end of the age range, and some of them are just things that we consider to be great for everyone. So just because I'm talking about 6th through 8th grade books, it is entirely possible that you, for your upper elementary or for your lower and even middle high school, might be interested in some of these titles. So let's go. Do I turn the slides, or do you do that, Cindy?
You can control them. You should see some arrows below. And if you don't, you see that?
Yes.
You can drive. Go for it.
Okay. Well, this one has a really short and sweet description. Amari and the Night Brothers by B.B. Alston is the story of, well, and honestly, I've been talking to my students this way. I said, have you ever wondered what it would be like if a girl who lived in Atlanta got an invitation to a particular magic school instead of the kid with the lightning scar? Well, have you ever thought that it might be interesting to have a different sort of magic school story, then I think that I found the book that you've been missing. So Amari and the Night Brothers does take the kind of classic narrative of outsider gets a mysterious invitation, finds out that she has lots of powers that she had no idea about, and then, fights evil in order to, save the world, and her older brother, who has mysteriously disappeared. So Amari has been recruited to join the Bureau of Supernatural Affairs, which is the organization that keeps all of the creepy crawlies that, normal people don't see in check. So I think that there are tons of fantasy fans who enjoy a fast-paced adventure, but this is going to be an easy sell to. This would be a really fun book club book. This is now also a series. Book 2 in the series just came out just last month. So it's on my whenever I magically ever get any free time list. So The Last Quintessa by Donna Barba Higuera is the Newbery from last year, but my committee had already been reading it before it was named the Newbery, and so we took that ALA was going to give it, the big prize, that it was just a sign that we had been on the right track all along. So The Last Quintessa, if you have not read it, is a fabulous science fiction adventure where Petra is the main character. She and her family, who are scientists, have been selected to leave planet Earth and go on a journey to a new world because Earth is about to explode due to a number of disasters. So everybody goes to sleep, in the normal science fiction stasis kind of narrative. And while they're asleep, of course, everything goes wrong, like it does in most science fiction. But I'm a science fiction fan myself, so I'm always expecting it, and I'm always intrigued by how an author is going to deal with that. Now, one of the things that I love the most about this book is the connections that it has with Hispanic culture and the power of story. Here in Shelby County, my school is about 40% Hispanic. And so I'm always looking for narratives that can bring in some of those aspects to my students' reading lives and enrich my own. So I think that the Newbery Committee did a fabulous job with this pick. And if you also are the kind of reader who enjoys talking about the power story, I think a good story can change the world. So I think that this does a marvelous job of doing multiple things and serving lots of different audiences. Dress coded. This is the one that is the hot topic with my girls on this year's list. I need way more copies of this one and I've just ordered some. So, in Dress Coded, the main character, Molly, is fed up because not only are she and her friends getting dress coded for things that are not even the same. The male administration at her school seems to have come up with a dress code that pretty much penalizes girls for existing. So, and trust me, my girls identify with this. Molly starts a podcast where all the girls who've been wronged can tell their stories, and this grassroots effort kind of turns into a rebellion and a revolution. So not only are these girls now taking on their civic duty, then Carrie Firestone, our author, she is very much into raising activists, because her follow-up to Dress Coded is now about a school club where they are fighting climate change. So if you are looking for a title that is going to engage some of your young readers in a way that promotes that kind of civic engagement and activism, then you really should take a look at Dress Coded. And this is definitely a popular title with my female readers. Yeah. Okay, I can't. I couldn't remember whether I did 3 or 4. Now I can go back and I could make up a. I feel like I'm dropping the ball here, guys.
No, it was okay. I think we kind of figured 3 or 4, and some of us did 3, some of us did 4. I think it's totally fine.
I will just say, just to touch on the idea that we do try to hit a number of different areas in our list of 10 for middle school. You're going to find some genre material. You're going to find some realistic fiction. You're going to find a verse novel in Lisa Phipps' Starfish. There's a mystery. There's some contemporary issues. There's sports. All of those things that we often find that our middle grade readers are looking for, we try to kind of hit as many of. There's not a graphic novel this year, but most of the time we have a graphic novel or a nonfiction. Just neither one of those kind of had one that rose to the top for the committee this year. But I hope you enjoyed hearing about some of our titles. And I'm going to send it to you. And now it's Lisa's show.
Yes, and like everyone else has already said, it was very hard to come up with what books to talk about because I really, really love this list. It's very diverse. It's representative of so many things, but there's a variety of great options here. And like Emily said, some, even though these are high school, I could see some of them going into the middle school setting as well. So if you've got readers that would like the challenge, definitely keep that in mind. So to start us off, I had to go with a book that I felt like our Eastern Kentucky friends would enjoy, as well as all Kentuckians. But this story is set in Appalachia, and unfortunately it's in Tennessee. It would have been better if it was in Kentucky, but it definitely has that feel that you will come to love. The character development is just amazing, of course. That's what we expect at a Jeff Sentner. But in this one, we've got our 2 main characters. These teens met as kids and they've been friends ever since. They bonded over their parents' struggle with addiction. Cash, our main character, lost his mother to opioids, and he has been living with his mama and papa ever since. And Delaney, his bestie, she is super smart. She has discovered a rare mold with some antibacterial properties in a cave. And she has been granted a prep school full ride scholarship in Connecticut. And she said, yeah, that's great, but I only want to go if Cash can go with me. And so they granted that wish, and he's equally as smart. And so it wasn't that big of a struggle for the prep school to take him. But Cash is struggling because he does not want to leave his papa, who is on the downside of his emphysema as it's worsening. But with an opportunity like this, he just couldn't pass it up. So these 2 Appalachian kids, they head off to Connecticut. And so you can only imagine what a culture shock that is for them. And as they're growing into their own, on top of the challenges that are faced with being in an elite school. And so Cash befriends and is mentored by his poetry teacher, who helps him as he's struggling with his homesickness and some rising tension that is starting to build with Delaney. So as they start working on their relationship as well as their academics. So just a beautiful character development, good old Kentucky feel on this one. Up next is a graphic novel, and Dragon Hoops you could easily do, I feel like, in a middle school setting as well. And we've got Gene Luen Yang, which surely you've heard about, and he is back. He has been struggling with what to come up with in his next novel, and as a teacher at in a high school, he says, hey, there's all this hype about the basketball team, and not knowing much about basketball or even being interested in sports, he starts getting into the hype, and so he starts to follow the basketball team, and he's inspired by their success and almost achieving state every year after year, that he's going to write a novel about it, or a graphic novel, I guess I should say. So he's following the players. He's also going into the history of basketball itself. So it touches on some socio-political forces behind the sport. It also traces how race figures into basketball. So with it going into the history of basketball too, there is some talk about Kentucky basketball. So, our students are going to love that. This is a really, really thicker book, and by thick, not necessarily, it is, the length is there, but the graphics and the paper is so thick on this one. In our case, the binding likes to break in it, so it is a hefty book. So that's my 2 cents. If you can buy it where it's bound and a little more secure, you'll get more run out of your copies that way. But great illustrations, and just really well done. And obviously, I think there's something for everybody there. So you've got, it's about sports and basketball, but it goes into that history, and it's just done in such a way that I think there's something for all readers in this one. And then I had to pick my third choice, and I just love Firekeeper's Daughter. And if you haven't read it yet, you definitely got to get on this one. It has won almost every award I can think of. But here we've got Donis, who feels torn between her two communities. She is Anishinaabe on her father's side, which is the firekeeper side. And then her other side, her mom's side, is white and wealthy. And so she's torn between these two worlds and cultures. But Donis wants to become a doctor, but she has taken a year off because her grandmother is recovering from a stroke, and she wanted to be there for her family. Her free time is spent playing hockey, so that's a great way to get sports and get your guys into reading this book as well. But tragedy strikes for poor Donis. She witnesses a murder right in front of her, and it is at the hands of someone addicted to meth. And there is a dangerous new form of meth that is spreading throughout the Ojibwe tribe. And because she, as you can tell, is very committed to a family and culture, she feels that she needs to do what she can to help. So she goes undercover to help with the criminal investigation. So she starts pulling away from her family and covering things up as she tries to get to the root of what's going on in her community. And so anytime you're involving drugs and drama, there's a lot of thrilling things that happen in this one. It's very fast paced. So there's a lot going on here. We've got a lot with culture and death, just a very heavy, but you definitely don't want to put this one down. So it is well worth the investment. And the cover, of course, is just beautiful. But overall, all the books on this list are fabulous. And so there's definitely something for everybody on our list. And I will turn it over, hopefully, to Becky. She made it this far. So Becky, if you're still here, maybe we can get you going.
You hear me now?
Yes.
Yay! I'm so sorry. My computer just does not like Blackboard, I guess. So I ended up finding you on my phone, though. So I'm doing it on my phone. So I hope that'll work out.
Becky,
Yeah.
I'm going back to your slides. So
Thank you.
I didn't know if you could drive or not. So, or drive is in the slideshow. So here we are, preschool, take it away.
Okay. And you're welcome to, I think I can turn the slides, but we'll see. All right, this is the preschool list, and we're very excited about it for this year. Like the others have said, we tried to get a variety of books to offer to our preschool early readers, but it's a little bit more challenging. We're always looking for a nonfiction, and we actually have a couple of those on the list this year, and we try to look for poetry, wordless books, as much of a variety as we can get. So we picked out several here that I want to bring to your attention. So let me see if I can do this. There we go. Okay, the first one is Bear is a Bear, and I have it here in front of me if you see me glancing over at it. Jonathan Stoltzman is the author. Dan Santat is the illustrator, and he is one of my top favorites. He does a magnificent job in this book of taking the author's words and really making a special story out of it. When it starts out with the book, you see a little baby. You can't even tell if it's a boy or girl, but it turns out she is a girl, and mommy is giving her a bear to be her best friend. And the bear, the way Dan portrays him, is like you see here on the slide. He is huge. All the way through the book, this huge bear, so sweet, grows up with the little girl. He's always a good friend. He's all kinds of things, but the refrain goes through, Bear is a bear full of love. So you see, Bear is pretty much the same, being a stalwart companion to the little girl, but you see gradually as she grows up, the different activities and things she's into, until finally she ends up going off to college. And when she goes off to college, Bear goes with her, and he's a reminder of home. But she becomes very busy, and now Bear is a distraction. So she takes him home, she puts him in a trunk, and now Bear is a memory. But it has such a happy ending because she does, after a while, after she grows up and has a child of her own, remembers Bear. She pulls him out of the trunk, and Bear is an old friend, and now she's presenting Bear to her new little daughter, where he will be her best friend and comfort as she grows up. And the fun thing Dan Santat does all the way through, Bear is this huge thing, and at the very end, after Bear is a new friend, you see the new little girl cuddled in the bed with Bear, and Bear is a soft warm pillow. Bear is a bear faded and torn. Bear is a bear full of love. And now Bear is a stuffed animal in there with her for the first time. So it would be fun to see whether the children think he was really a stuffed animal all along and the big bear was just her imagination. Precious story. And all our children love their stuffies, can identify with that. The next one is one full of humor, Sheepish, by Helen Yoon. And of course, she's the author and the illustrator. And it's kind of a twist on a wolf in sheep's clothing. Our wolf here certainly does, and it's all very cartoonish drawings, as you can see. He decides he is really hungry for some lamb. And this book reminds me a lot. If you remember the book, I can't remember the author, but it was The Wolf's Chicken Stew. And to me, this book is the same kind of theme. So anyway, this wolf makes himself a clever sheep's costume, and he goes to a whole colony of sheep, all shapes and sizes, and he thinks no one suspects a thing, but they actually do all along, and you can see that in the funny illustrations. So all along, he's trying to integrate himself into the flock, and he's thinking of all these different yummy dinners he's going to have with these sheep once he is fully integrated in and can make his attack. And just about when he's ready to do that, a little lamb runs up to him and gives him a big kiss. Well, he is snowed, and he says, I can't do it. Nope, nope, nope. So he goes home, he takes off his sheep's clothing, and he has books that talk about a no-meat diet and a lot of little funny, clever things. And so he's just saying he's going to stay away, he's not going to do it. But the fun twist at the end is when the sheep miss him, and they have all dressed now in wolves' clothing, and they come to his door, knock at his door, and they tell him, we missed you. And then they all hug. So it's a fun take on A Wolf in Sheep's Clothing with a happy ending. The next one is one of our basically factual books done in a very easy to understand for young reader form. The Universe in You. Suzanne Slade is the author. Stephanie Coleman is the illustrator. It's beautifully illustrated. It has it talks about a little girl going to sleep at night, and she's already, into space because her mommy's putting her into bed, but her whole room is decorated with solar system and posters, and her bedspread has stars on it. And the whole rest of the book is her dream. And it kind of talks about the Earth gently spinning, and it takes her out to the solar system. It shows all the planets. This does not include Pluto, appropriately. And just takes her all through the universe in her own spaceship with very few words on each page, but gorgeous illustrations that give the children a feel for what the solar system is like. And then she wakes up from her dream in the end and goes out to play. But meanwhile, you have had a visit with the whole solar system, and really nice in the back for teachers or for older children or parents to use. There's some factual information exploring the universe that gives some more detail about the universe that you can share with the children. I really wanted to just briefly mention both of these because with Kentucky Bluegrass Award, of course, we always want to support our wonderful Kentucky authors and illustrators. Just like I think Adele was saying, we support Lauren Long. He's fabulous, even though he lives in Cincinnati. He is a UK grad, so we claim him. But these two ladies actually live in the Louisville area, and we have both their books on our list this year. Little Grump Truck by Amanda Driscoll, which is a beautiful book that kind of approaches in an appropriate level mindfulness, using a little female girl dump truck who gets the grumpies and how she handles getting rid of them. And Amanda illustrates this book as well. She makes school visits. This is her 4th published book for children, and she will be wonderful if you ever want her for a school visit because she'll draw as she talks. Patrick's Polka Dot Tights is not written by but illustrated by Mackenzie Haley. And Mackenzie lives in Louisville and has done a number of books, but this one is a really fun book about a little boy who just loves these particular pair of tights that belong to his sister and tries to grab them and use them for all kinds of fun things. This book is actually, my granddaughter Aurora did a presentation with me. She's 6, and she did a presentation with me at the Kentucky Association of School Librarians. And when the audience asked her favorite book, Patrick's Polka Dot Tights was her favorite. So just wanted to particularly point those out since those are our local authors and illustrators that could come talk to your students at your school. So thank you, and sorry for the delay.
Thank you so much, Becky. I am so glad that you got to join us, even if it was a few hiccups. You joined us and told us all about those wonderful books. And thank you all so much for attending. Don't get dizzy. I'm going to try to go through to the very end just to show our last slide that has our contact information. If anyone has any questions related to any of the KBA lists or committees or any questions at all, the best place to start is with our KBA coordinator, and either Beth Adkins. She can answer your questions, but if you use that email account, email address that's there, she can forward questions to any of the committees, and all of us would be happy to help anyone who's interested in looking at these books, talking about these books, promoting them in their schools. So thank you so much for coming to our presentation about Kentucky Bluegrass Awards, and I hope you guys have a great day.